Hi, my name is Usman, and in today's video training we will be looking at a very important concept in JavaScript that is called promises. Let's look at the promise definition. The promise object represents the eventual completion or failure of an asynchronous operation and its resulting value. A promise represents the result of the asynchronous function. Promises can be used to avoid chaining callbacks in JavaScript. So whenever JavaScript code execute as asynchronously, need to handle an operation as one of the ways would be using promises. Okay, promises have been around quite a while and are defined by a spec called promise /a plus. ES6, that is ECMAScript 6, has adopted the spec for its promise implementation. But there are other promise libraries out there such as Q, Bluebird, RSVP and others that adhere to the spec and offer other features on top of it. A promise is in one of these states: pending, that is initial state, neither fulfilled nor rejected. Second state is fulfilled, meaning that the operation completed successfully. The third state is rejected, meaning that the operation failed. Now let's look at a code that implements promise. So in this program you can see we have created a promise object and we have resolve and reject as a parameter within that function, within that promise object, and we defined a variable called isDB operation completed equals false. And then we have an if condition that says if isDB operation completed, which means that we are waiting for DB operation to be completed, and once it is completed we pass it to resolve as a string saying completed, else we pass it as reject not completed. After that we have a then method which we run on the promise object as a function, and we say result and we console.log the result saying output completed. And then we have a catch method function for catching errors if some error occurs within our program, and we console.log that error saying if it is DB operation completed equals false, which means output not completed. So this is a very basic example of implementing promises in JavaScript. In the previous code for a sample promise, assume like doing DB operation as asynchronously. In that promise object arguments as two function resolve and reject. Whenever we execute that promise using then and catch as callback function in order to get resolve or reject values. Now let's see promises in action. First of all, let's create a project directory and name it promise. Now let's go into that directory and let's create our project file, that is promise.js. So the editor I'm using is Sublime text editor, and let's say Sublime promise.js. Okay, we are within that program now. So let's start coding. Let's define a variable and let's create an object promise function resolve reject is DB operation completed equals false if is DB operation completed resolve, let's pass a string completed, else reject, pass string not completed. Let's call if then function result. Let's console.log result output completed. Let's use catch for error handling. So receives a parameter error. It's console.log error if is db operation completed equals false. Output not completed. Now let's run the program node promise.js. You see we have got not completed on the console. Now let's go back to editor and let's say and set this to true. Now if we go back to the console and run the program again, we have got completed. So basically the promise is depending on the value of this variable either to be true or false, and sending the message resolve or reject as not completed or completed to the then function or the catch error function. So this is the basic structure of promise implementation in JavaScript. Further, what can be done is, let's say you are calling some API and you are waiting for the result of that API, and then you can call resolve or reject depending on the result of that API. So there are very different types of implementation that can be done using promises. I hope you have understood the basic concept of promises in JavaScript. If you liked this video, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you next time with the new topic in JavaScript. Bye.